The morning sun casts golden shadows across a traditional Balinese compound as Kadak arranges her daily offering of rice, flowers, and incense. Her weathered hands move with practiced precision, a ritual she's performed every morning for 43 years. Just 3 kilometers away, Australian tourists sip $20 cocktails at a beach club, completely unaware that the real Bali exists in spaces like Kadak's family compound, where 3 generations live together on less than what those tourists spend on lunch. This is the paradox of modern Bali, an island caught between ancient Hindu traditions and the relentless march of tourism, where sacred ceremonies happen steps away from pizza joints and where you can live comfortably on $600 a month if you know the secrets that locals have guarded for generations. Most visitors never see this side of Bali. They experience the curated version: infinity pools, yoga retreats, and beach clubs that could exist anywhere in the world. But what happens when you step away from the resorts and into the narrow village lanes where the real Indonesia begins? The statistics tell one story. Bali receives over 5 million tourists annually, generating billions in revenue. But those numbers don't capture the complexity of daily life here, where Hindu temple ceremonies still determine the rhythm of entire communities, where families share motorcycles and compound walls, and where the cost of living varies wildly depending on whether you're living like a tourist or adapting to local ways. The truth about Bali isn't found in glossy travel magazines or Instagram feeds. It's hidden in morning markets where vendors speak rapid Balinese, in family temples where tourists aren't welcome, and in the economic realities that most visitors never consider. What if you could access this hidden Bali? What if you understood how to navigate the unspoken rules that govern everything from food purchases to social interactions? The island transforms completely when you possess this knowledge, shifting from an expensive tourist destination to an affordable tropical home base where meaningful cultural exchange becomes possible. Mount Agung dominates the eastern horizon like a sleeping giant, its volcanic peak reaching 3,031 meters into tropical clouds that gather each afternoon. The mountain isn't just a geographical landmark, it's the spiritual anchor of Balinese cosmology, the dwelling place of gods and ancestors that influences everything from temple orientation to daily meditation practices. When Agung erupted in 2017, forcing thousands to evacuate, locals didn't just fear the physical danger, they interpreted the eruption as a spiritual message, a reminder that humans remain subject to forces beyond their control. The island stretches 153 kilometers east to west and 112 kilometers north to south, but these measurements don't capture how dramatically the landscape changes within short distances. Drive 20 minutes from the black, volcanic beaches of the east coast, and you'll find yourself among emerald rice terraces that cascade down mountainsides like giant green staircases. Another 30 minutes brings you to dense monkey forests where ancient stone temples emerge from tropical vegetation, their moss-covered carvings telling stories that predate European contact by centuries. Bali's geography creates distinct microclimates and cultures within this compact space. The northern coastal town of Lavina remains sleepy and traditional, where fishing boats painted in bright blues and reds return each morning with the previous night's catch. Local fishermen still use traditional techniques passed down through generations, reading wind patterns and ocean currents that GPS systems can't interpret. Here, a plate of freshly grilled fish costs less than $3, and conversations happen in Balinese rather than English. Travel south across the mountains, and you encounter Ubud, where ancient irrigation systems called subak still regulate rice farming exactly as they did 800 years ago. These cooperative water management systems represent more than agricultural efficiency. They embody the Hindu philosophy of Tri Hita Karana, the harmonious relationship between humans, nature, and the divine. UNESCO recognized these systems as a World Heritage Site, but for local farmers, they're simply how rice growing works, a natural extension of spiritual practice into daily labor. The Southern Peninsula tells a different geographical story entirely. Limestone cliffs drop dramatically into the Indian Ocean, creating some of the world's most spectacular temple settings. Uluwatu Temple perches on a cliff 70 meters above crashing waves, where hundreds of macaque monkeys have learned to steal sunglasses and phones from tourists, returning them only in exchange for food offerings. The geological drama here masks a practical reality. These cliffs provide natural protection from ocean storms while creating microclimates perfect for growing the tropical fruits that appear in every local market. But geography also creates challenges that visitors rarely consider. Bali sits on the Ring of Fire, where tectonic plates meet and create both the island's fertile volcanic soil and its constant earthquake risk. Local building techniques have adapted to this reality over centuries. Traditional Balinese architecture uses flexible wood joints and lighter materials that can withstand seismic activity, while modern concrete construction often ignores these time-tested principles, creating structures more vulnerable to natural disasters. Water scarcity affects different regions dramatically. The lush rice terraces of central Bali depend on intricate irrigation networks, but the southern peninsula relies increasingly on expensive desalination and water trucking. This geographical reality directly impacts cost of living. Areas with natural water sources remain more affordable, while regions dependent on imported water see prices that rival European cities. Understanding Bali's geography means recognizing how elevation affects everything from internet connectivity to food prices. Mountain villages often lack reliable cell coverage, making remote work challenging, but they offer temperatures 10 degrees cooler than coastal areas and access to hiking trails that connect ancient temples through primary forest. Coastal areas provide consistent internet and international food options, but come with higher humidity, salt air that corrodes electronics, and the constant noise of motorcycle traffic. These geographical variations create opportunities for budget-conscious travelers willing to adapt their lifestyle to local conditions. A small house in the mountains near Munduk might rent for $200 monthly, including access to hiking trails, waterfalls, and genuine village life, but require a motorcycle ride to reach decent internet. Coastal locations offer convenience and connectivity, but command tourist prices for everything from housing to groceries. Comment below if you've experienced how dramatically Bali's landscape changes within short distances. It's one of the few places where you can surf in the morning and visit ancient mountain temples by afternoon, but only if you understand how geography shapes both opportunity and cost throughout the island. Morning arrives in Balinese villages not with alarm clocks but with the gentle sound of bamboo wind chimes and the soft swoosh of palm fronds being swept across stone courtyards. By 5:30, while tourist areas remain silent, village life has already begun its daily rhythm. Kadek fills small woven baskets with rice, tropical flowers, and burning incense, creating kanangsari, daily offerings that will be placed at household shrines, business entrances, and street corners throughout the day. This morning ritual happens in virtually every Hindu household across Bali, creating a synchronized spiritual practice that unifies the island regardless of economic status or geographic location. The offerings aren't performed for tourists or Instagram photos. They're genuine expressions of gratitude and requests for protection that connect daily life with sacred obligations. Watching this process reveals how Balinese culture integrates spirituality into mundane activities, transforming simple tasks like preparing breakfast into acts of devotion. Family compounds represent the foundation of Balinese social structure, housing multiple generations within connected pavilions that share common courtyards and temple areas. These Banjar communities function as extended families, where individual privacy yields to collective responsibility. Children grow up surrounded by aunts, uncles, grandparents, and cousins, creating natural support networks that Western nuclear families often lack. This communal approach affects everything from childcare to elderly support, reducing individual financial burdens that drive up living costs in more individualistic societies. The economic implications of family compound living become clear when you consider housing costs. Rather than paying individual rent for separate apartments, multiple generations contribute to maintaining shared family property, drastically reducing per-person housing expenses. Young adults might contribute $200 monthly toward family compound maintenance rather than paying $800 for individual apartment rent, freeing income for education, business investment, or savings. Traditional Balinese architecture reflects this communal philosophy through spatial design that promotes interaction while providing privacy when needed. Open-air pavilions called bail serve multiple functions throughout the day. Morning coffee areas become afternoon workspaces and evening gathering spots for family meetings or traditional music practice. Walls are minimal, encouraging air circulation and social connection, while raised foundations protect against flooding and provide storage space underneath. Village governance operates through traditional councils called banjar that handle everything from ceremony planning to conflict resolution. These councils meet monthly to discuss community issues, assign responsibilities for upcoming festivals, and coordinate mutual aid when families face difficulties. The system provides social safety nets that government programs often can't match, but it also creates obligations that visitors might find restrictive. For example, community members must contribute labor for temple renovations, participate in security patrols, and attend important ceremonies regardless of personal convenience. These obligations strengthen social bonds but require time commitments that can conflict with modern work schedules or travel plans. Understanding these expectations becomes crucial for anyone considering long-term residence in traditional village areas. Daily work patterns in villages follow natural rhythms rather than rigid schedules. Rice farmers begin fieldwork before sunrise to avoid midday heat, returning home for rest during the hottest hours and resuming work in late afternoon. This pattern creates afternoon quiet periods when villages appear almost deserted, but it also allows for flexible scheduling that accommodates ceremony participation and family obligations. Women play central roles in village economic life, managing household finances, operating small businesses, and organizing ceremony preparations. Many run warungs, small family restaurants that serve traditional meals to neighbors and passing travelers. These establishments operate from family compounds, serving authentic Balinese food at prices designed for local budgets rather than tourist wallets. A complete meal of rice, vegetables, meat, and sambal rarely exceeds $2, providing both affordable nutrition and insight into genuine Balinese flavors. Village children attend government schools but receive additional education in traditional arts, religious practices, and cultural knowledge through community programs. These informal education systems teach skills like traditional music, dance, wood carving, and ceremony organization that maintain cultural continuity across generations. Many villages have gamelan orchestras where children learn complex bronze percussion music that accompanies temple ceremonies and cultural festivals. The balance between tradition and modernity creates interesting tensions in village life. Smartphones and internet access have arrived even in remote areas, allowing young people to connect with global culture while maintaining local responsibilities. Many village youth work remotely for international companies while participating in traditional farming or crafts during community obligations. This combination creates income diversity that strengthens village economies while preserving cultural practices. Evening activities in villages center around family time, traditional arts practice, or informal socializing rather than commercial entertainment. Children play traditional games in compound courtyards, while adults discuss daily events or plan upcoming ceremonies. Television might provide background entertainment, but social interaction remains primary. This lifestyle reduces entertainment expenses while building stronger community relationships. Religious practice permeates village daily life through regular temple attendance, home shrine maintenance, and ceremony participation. These activities require time investment, but provide social connection and spiritual meaning that many urban lifestyles lack. The rhythm of village life follows lunar calendars and religious observances rather than commercial schedules, creating lifestyle patterns that prioritize community well-being over individual productivity. Understanding village daily life reveals how traditional Balinese culture creates natural cost-of-living advantages through communal resource sharing, local food production, and non-commercial entertainment. These systems provide models for sustainable living that combine affordability with cultural richness, but they also require social integration and cultural respect that casual visitors might not fully appreciate. The aroma of coconut oil, palm sugar, and burning wood smoke announces your arrival at any traditional Balinese market before you see the colorful displays of tropical produce and prepared foods. These morning markets represent the heart of local food culture, where ingredients are purchased daily and meals are prepared fresh rather than stored or preserved. The sensory intensity, bright reds of rambutan fruits, deep greens of kangkung vegetables, golden yellows of fresh turmeric, creates a visual feast that Instagram could never adequately capture. Nasi campur stands offer the most authentic introduction to Balinese cuisine, presenting mountains of white rice surrounded by small portions of various dishes: spicy sambal, tender braised pork, crispy fried peanuts, mixed vegetables, and aromatic curry. The beauty of nasi campur lies in its flexibility. Diners select combination of dishes based on personal preference and budget, creating customized meals that rarely exceed $3. Local variations reflect regional specialties and seasonal availability, making each nasi campur experience slightly different while maintaining familiar comfort food appeal. Babi guling represents Bali's most celebrated culinary tradition, where entire pigs are roasted over coconut husks and wood fires until the skin becomes crackling crispy while the meat remains succulent and flavorful. The preparation process begins before dawn, when skilled cooks stuff whole pigs with aromatic spice pastes containing turmeric, coriander, lemongrass, and chilies, before slow roasting them for hours. The resulting feast provides tender meat, crispy skin, rich broth, and spiced rice that creates complete meal satisfaction for less than $5 per person. Watching baby guling preparation reveals the social aspects of Balinese food culture. These aren't restaurant operations but community efforts where extended families work together to prepare large quantities of food for local consumption. The cooking process becomes a social event where neighbors gather to share stories, plan upcoming ceremonies, and maintain relationships that extend far beyond commercial transactions. This community approach keeps prices low while ensuring food quality and cultural authenticity. Satay Lilit offers another window into Balinese culinary creativity, where minced fish, chicken, or pork is mixed with grated coconut, lime leaves, and spice pastes before being wrapped around bamboo skewers and grilled over coconut charcoal. The wrapping technique requires skill developed over years of practice, creating spiral patterns that hold the seasoned meat mixture secure while allowing even cooking. Street vendors sell these aromatic skewers for less than $1 each, providing protein-rich snacks that satisfy hunger between main meals. Fresh fruit availability throughout the year creates natural healthcare benefits that reduce medical expenses for those who adapt to local eating patterns. Markets overflow with tropical varieties rarely available in temperate climates: mangosteen with sweet tart white flesh, salak with crispy apple-like texture, dragon fruit with mild sweetness and striking appearance. Vitamin C from these fresh fruits helps prevent illness, while natural enzymes aid digestion and reduce inflammation. Many long-term residents report improved health after switching to local fruit consumption rather than imported processed alternatives. Traditional drinks provide both nutrition and cultural connection. Fresh coconut water straight from green coconuts offers natural electrolyte replacement that commercial sports drinks attempt to replicate. Jamu, traditional herbal drinks made from turmeric, ginger, and tamarind provide natural anti-inflammatory benefits while connecting drinkers to centuries-old wellness practices. These traditional beverages cost less than bottled water while providing superior hydration and health benefits. Coffee culture in Bali has evolved dramatically over the past decade, but traditional preparation methods still create the most memorable experiences. Village coffee shops serve thick, sweet kopi tubruk where fine coffee grounds settle at the bottom of glasses filled with dark, aromatic brew. This preparation method requires no expensive equipment while producing intensely flavorful coffee that costs less than 50 cents per cup. The social aspect of coffee drinking, slow conversations over multiple small glasses, contrasts sharply with Western grab-and-go coffee culture. Modern cafe culture in areas like Ubud and Canggu caters to international tastes but at significantly higher prices. Specialty coffee drinks, avocado toast, and smoothie bowls can easily cost $10 to $15 per meal, approaching Western prices for food that provides no cultural insight or authentic local experience. However, these establishments provide reliable Wi-Fi, air conditioning, and familiar flavors for digital nomads willing to pay premium prices for convenience and comfort. Night markets transform after sunset into vibrant food festivals where local families gather for affordable evening meals and social interaction. Vendors set up temporary stalls selling everything from grilled corn and sweet potatoes to complex curry dishes and fresh fruit juices. The atmosphere combines marketplace commerce with community festival, where children play between stalls while adults socialize over shared meals. These markets provide cultural entertainment that does not require admission fees while offering genuine local food at prices designed for Indonesian budgets rather than tourist wallets. Traditional cooking methods using wood fires, clay pots, and bamboo steamers create flavors impossible to replicate with modern kitchen equipment. The slow cooking processes required by these traditional methods produce tender meats, complex spice integration, and smoky flavors that commercial restaurants struggle to achieve. Learning these techniques requires patience and cultural mentorship, but the results provide both culinary satisfaction and deeper cultural understanding. Street food safety requires understanding local practices and choosing vendors carefully. Establishments with high turnover, proper food handling, and local customer bases generally provide safer options than touristy places with international menus and higher prices. Local immune systems adapt to regional bacteria and preparation methods while visitors might need time to adjust. Starting with cooked foods, avoiding raw vegetables initially, and choosing busy vendors helps minimize digestive issues while maximizing authentic food experiences. Spice tolerance develops gradually for those unaccustomed to Balinese heat levels. Traditional sambal ranges from mildly warm to intensely fiery, with experienced cooks adjusting spice levels based on individual tolerance. Building spice appreciation over time allows fuller engagement with local cuisine while avoiding digestive distress that can ruin travel experiences. Food costs represent one of the most significant advantages of living locally in Bali. Traditional markets and local warungs provide complete, nutritious meals for $2 to $4, while international restaurants charge $10 to $20 for similar portions. This price difference means food budgets can vary by over 300% depending on eating choices, making local food adaptation crucial for anyone attempting to live on limited budgets. Traditional Balinese society operates on principles that might seem restrictive to Western sensibilities. Yet the social structures create support systems and cultural richness that many modern societies have lost. Women in Balinese culture hold positions of significant influence, particularly in religious and household management roles, though their power operates through different channels than Western feminist ideals might expect. Understanding these dynamics reveals both opportunities and challenges for social interaction and romantic relationships. In traditional Balinese households, women manage family finances, coordinate ceremony preparations, and maintain household shrines that protect family spiritual well-being. These responsibilities grant genuine authority over daily life decisions while requiring deep cultural knowledge and community relationship management. Kadek, for example, decides how household income gets allocated, which ceremonies receive priority attention, and how children's education progresses, wielding practical power that affects every aspect of family life. The concept of individual dating as understood in Western cultures does not translate directly to traditional Balinese social structures. Relationships develop through family connections, community activities, and religious ceremony participation rather than through private romantic pursuit. Young people meet potential partners during temple festivals, village celebrations, and family gatherings where multiple generations observe and guide relationship development. This approach provides social support for couple formation but limits privacy and individual choice. Marriage in Balinese culture represents alliance between families rather than just romantic partnership between individuals. Wedding ceremonies involve elaborate, multi-day festivals where entire communities participate in blessing the new couple and integrating them into extended family networks. The financial investment in these ceremonies can reach thousands of dollars, representing significant community investment in relationship success that creates pressure for marriage stability. Gender roles in Balinese society assign different responsibilities to men and women, while maintaining mutual respect and interdependence. Men traditionally handle heavy agricultural work, business negotiations, and community leadership roles, while women manage household economics, religious observances, and child rearing. These divisions create complementary partnerships rather than competitive relationships, though they might feel restrictive to those accustomed to more fluid gender expectations. For foreign men interested in relationships with Balinese women, cultural sensitivity becomes crucial for developing meaningful connections. Many local women possess university education and international awareness while maintaining strong family obligations and cultural identity. Successful cross-cultural relationships require genuine respect for Balinese traditions, family integration, and long-term commitment rather than casual dating approaches that might work in other cultural contexts. The rise of international tourism has created new social dynamics around relationships between locals and foreigners. Some Balinese women work in tourism industries where they develop language skills and cultural adaptability that enables cross-cultural relationships. However, economic disparities between tourists and locals can create exploitative dynamics that damage both individual relationships and broader community trust. Dating expenses in Bali vary dramatically depending on whether couples follow local customs or international expectations. Traditional courtship involves family visits, religious ceremony attendance, and community social events that cost very little money while providing deep cultural engagement. Western-style dating with restaurant meals, entertainment venues, and gift exchanges can become expensive quickly, particularly in tourist areas where prices target international budgets. Social life in traditional villages centers around religious festivals, family gatherings, and community work projects rather than commercial entertainment venues. Young people might gather for traditional music practice, temple cleaning activities, or harvest celebrations that provide social interaction without requiring significant financial investment. These activities create strong community bonds while maintaining cultural traditions across generations. Nightlife in tourist areas like Kuta and Seminyak operates according to international party culture expectations, with beach clubs, nightclubs, and bars that serve expensive cocktails to crowds of international visitors. Cover charges, drink prices, and transportation costs can easily reach $50 to $100 per evening, creating entertainment expenses that exceed many locals' monthly incomes. This tourism-focused nightlife provides limited authentic cultural engagement while consuming significant budget resources. Alternative nightlife exists in local communities through traditional arts performances, religious festivals, and family celebrations that welcome respectful foreign participation. Gamelan performances, traditional dance presentations, and temple ceremonies provide evening entertainment that connects participants to Balinese culture while building genuine community relationships. These activities typically cost nothing or require small donations that support cultural preservation. Women's safety in Bali generally remains high compared to many international destinations, but cultural awareness helps prevent misunderstandings and uncomfortable situations. Traditional Balinese society maintains conservative social expectations around dress, behavior, and interaction between unmarried men and women. Respecting these norms creates more comfortable social interactions while demonstrating cultural sensitivity that locals appreciate. The growing expat community in areas like Ubud and Canggu has created international social scenes where foreign residents connect through shared interests, professional networking, and cultural adaptation challenges. These communities provide support systems for long-term foreign residents while sometimes creating cultural bubbles that limit authentic Indonesian cultural engagement. Social media and dating apps have begun influencing relationship formation in urban Balinese areas, though traditional family involvement remains important for serious relationships. Young Balinese people increasingly navigate between modern dating culture and traditional family expectations, creating hybrid approaches that respect cultural heritage while embracing contemporary relationship options. Understanding social and dating dynamics in Bali requires patience, cultural humility, and genuine interest in Indonesian culture beyond surface-level tourist experiences. Meaningful relationships develop through authentic cultural engagement rather than economic advantage or exotic romance fantasies that reduce complex individuals to stereotypical expectations. The sound of kulkul drums echoing across rice fields announces the approach of Galungan, Bali's most important religious festival, when the spirits of ancestors return to Earth for 10 days of celebration and blessing. Every family compound transforms into a festival ground decorated with elaborate penjor, tall bamboo poles adorned with coconut leaves, fruits, and flowers that arch gracefully over village roads like natural cathedral vaulting. These preparations require weeks of community coordination and represent financial investments that many families save toward throughout the entire year. Nyepi, the Day of Silence, creates one of the world's most unique cultural experiences, when the entire island shuts down completely for 24 hours of meditation, fasting, and spiritual reflection. No flights land or depart, no vehicles move on roads, no businesses operate, and even tourist hotels must comply with restrictions on lighting and noise. This complete societal pause allows Balinese Hindus to reset their spiritual energy while demonstrating their cultural unity to the outside world. For visitors, experiencing Nyepi provides rare insight into how deeply spiritual practice can influence modern society when cultural commitment remains strong. The financial commitment required for religious festivals reveals important aspects of Balinese economic priorities and community support systems. A typical family might spend the equivalent of 2 months' income on Galungan preparations, purchasing ceremonial clothing, preparing elaborate food offerings, and contributing to community temple renovations. However, these expenses are shared across extended families and spread throughout the year through rotating savings groups called arisan that help families manage large ceremonial costs through collective planning. Temple ceremonies happen almost daily somewhere on the island, creating constant opportunities for cultural participation and spiritual engagement for those who understand proper etiquette and dress codes. Each temple maintains its own calendar of celebrations based on the Balinese Pawukon calendar system, which operates on 210-day cycles rather than annual schedules. This complex timing system means significant ceremonies occur frequently, but predicting them requires local knowledge and community connections that casual tourists rarely develop. Cremation ceremonies represent the most elaborate and expensive religious observances in Balinese culture, sometimes costing families thousands of dollars to properly honor deceased relatives and ensure their spiritual transition to higher realms. These multi-day festivals involve entire communities in constructing elaborate towers and animal-shaped sarcophagi, preparing massive food offerings, and coordinating religious processions that can include hundreds of participants. The ceremonies combine genuine grief and spiritual obligation with community celebration and artistic expression that creates profound emotional experiences. Daily offerings, called kanangsari, provide continuous connection between ordinary activities and spiritual practice, transforming mundane tasks into acts of devotion and gratitude. Women throughout Bali create these small woven baskets filled with rice, flowers, and incense multiple times daily, placing them at household shrines, business entrances, and street corners as protection against negative influences. The materials for daily offerings cost very little, but the time investment and spiritual significance create cultural rhythms that influence everything from business schedules to traffic patterns. Traditional medicine practices interweave religious belief with herbal knowledge, creating healthcare approaches that address spiritual and physical ailments simultaneously. Village healers, called Balian, diagnose problems through meditation, palm reading, and consultation with spiritual guides, then prescribe combinations of herbal treatments, religious ceremonies, and lifestyle changes. These traditional healing approaches cost significantly less than modern medical treatment while providing holistic care that addresses psychological and social factors influencing health conditions. Water plays sacred roles in Balinese religious practice, with holy water called tirtha, used for purification ceremonies, blessing rituals, and spiritual protection. Sacred springs throughout the island provide sources for this holy water, creating pilgrimage destinations where devotees gather to pray, meditate, and collect blessed water for home use. These natural temple sites demonstrate how Balinese spirituality integrates environmental reverence with religious practice, treating natural resources as divine gifts requiring protection and respect. Art creation serves religious purposes rather than commercial goals in traditional Balinese culture, with wood carving, painting, and sculpture primarily intended for temple decoration and ceremony enhancement. Master craftsmen spend years learning techniques passed down through family lineages, creating religious art that expresses devotion while maintaining cultural traditions. This religious art tradition provides economic opportunities for skilled artisans while preserving cultural knowledge that might otherwise disappear under modern commercial pressures. Music and dance performances during religious festivals require community participation and years of training, creating cultural education systems that operate alongside formal schooling. Children learn gamelan bronze percussion music, traditional dances, and religious chanting through temple-based instruction that builds cultural identity while developing artistic skills. These educational programs cost families nothing while providing cultural knowledge that strengthens community bonds across generations. The integration of religious practice with daily economic activity creates business ethics and practices that differ significantly from purely profit-driven commercial approaches. Many Balinese businesses close regularly for religious observances, prioritize family ceremony obligations over customer convenience, and incorporate spiritual protection rituals into their operations. Understanding these priorities helps visitors develop realistic expectations while appreciating how spiritual values influence economic decisions. Religious festival participation provides natural opportunities for cultural learning and community integration that don't depend on commercial tourist activities. Foreign residents who learn appropriate ceremony etiquette and contribute respectfully to community religious events often develop deeper local relationships and cultural understanding than those who remain in international social circles. However, this cultural participation requires genuine spiritual respect rather than anthropological curiosity or entertainment seeking. Sacred geography influences settlement patterns, agriculture, and daily activities throughout Bali, with temples, rice fields, and villages positioned according to spiritual principles that balance human needs with divine requirements. Understanding these spatial relationships helps explain why certain areas remain undeveloped, why temple locations seem to ignore practical considerations, and why traditional communities resist development projects that conflict with sacred landscape requirements. The economic impact of religious festivals extends far beyond individual family expenses, creating seasonal business cycles, employment opportunities, and cultural tourism attractions that support entire communities. Festival seasons bring increased demand for traditional crafts, ceremonial foods, and cultural performances that provide income for artisans, food vendors, and performers, while maintaining cultural authenticity through genuine religious practice rather than commercial recreation. Living on $600 monthly in Bali requires understanding local economic systems, cultural expectations, and lifestyle adaptations that most tourists never consider. The difference between surviving and thriving on this budget depends largely on housing choices, food preferences, transportation decisions, and social integration levels that determine whether you pay tourist prices or access local economic networks designed for Indonesian incomes. Housing represents the largest variable expense, with options ranging from luxury villas costing thousands monthly to simple rooms in family compounds available for under $200. Traditional Indonesian housing emphasizes function over luxury, with basic rooms containing beds, minimal furniture, and shared bathroom facilities that provide adequate shelter without Western amenities. These accommodations often include access to family kitchens, compound social areas, and local community life that creates cultural value beyond mere cost savings. Successful budget living requires abandoning Western housing expectations around privacy, space, and amenities, while embracing communal living patterns that reduce individual costs through resource sharing. Many affordable housing options involve shared kitchens, bathrooms, and living spaces with Indonesian families or other budget travelers, creating social connections while minimizing expenses. This lifestyle adjustment provides cultural learning opportunities, but requires flexibility around noise levels, social obligations, and different cleanliness standards. Food costs vary dramatically based on eating choices, with local markets and traditional warungs providing complete meals for $2 to $4, while international restaurants charge $10 to $20 for similar portions. Adapting to Indonesian flavors, spice levels, and eating patterns allows access to authentic local cuisine while maintaining extremely low food budgets. Learning to shop at morning markets and prepare simple local dishes can reduce monthly food expenses to under $100 while improving nutrition through fresh tropical ingredients. Transportation costs depend heavily on vehicle choices and travel frequency. Motorcycles remain the most economical transportation option, with used scooters available for under $500 purchase price and operating costs around $50 monthly, including fuel, maintenance, and insurance. However, motorcycle transportation requires comfort with chaotic traffic conditions, monsoon weather, and safety risks that claim thousands of lives annually throughout Indonesia. Alternative transportation through local bemo, minivans, ride-sharing services, and bicycle usage costs more per trip, but eliminates vehicle ownership expenses and safety responsibilities. Budget-conscious travelers often combine transportation modes, using motorcycles for daily errands while choosing safer options for longer distances or adverse weather conditions. These mixed transportation strategies balance cost control with safety considerations. Healthcare expenses require careful consideration of insurance coverage, treatment location, and medical service quality. Local clinics and government hospitals provide basic healthcare at prices designed for Indonesian incomes, with consultations costing under $10 and common medications available at fraction of Western prices. However, serious medical conditions might require expensive private hospital treatment or medical evacuation, that could exhaust budget resources quickly without adequate insurance coverage. Social and entertainment costs vary based on activity choices and social circles. Traditional cultural activities, temple festivals, and community events provide rich social experiences at minimal cost while building authentic local relationships. Commercial entertainment, targeting tourists, bars, clubs, organized tours, can quickly consume entire monthly budgets through single-evening expenses that provide little cultural value or lasting satisfaction. Internet and communication expenses remain relatively affordable throughout Indonesia, with unlimited mobile data plans available for under $20 monthly and Wi-Fi broadly accessible in urban areas. However, connection speeds and reliability vary significantly by location, with remote villages often lacking broadband access necessary for remote work or communication with family abroad. Visa costs and legal requirements create ongoing expenses for long-term residents, with tourist visas requiring monthly extensions at approximately $50 each or periodic visa runs to neighboring countries. Understanding Indonesian visa regulations becomes crucial for budget planning, as overstay penalties and legal complications can create expensive problems that consume months of living budget resources. Seasonal variations affect costs significantly, with monsoon seasons creating transportation difficulties, festival periods driving up prices for accommodation and services, and tourist high seasons inflating costs across all categories. Budget planning must account for these fluctuations while maintaining emergency reserves for unexpected expenses or opportunities to relocate when local conditions become challenging. Income opportunities exist for those with marketable skills and legal work authorization, though Indonesian employment regulations restrict foreign workers to specific industries and require substantial paperwork and employer sponsorship. Many budget travelers combine remote work for international employers with small business ventures or informal services provided to other expats and tourists. The social aspects of budget living often provide unexpected benefits through community connections, cultural learning, and simplified lifestyle that many higher-budget travelers never experience. Living within local economic constraints creates authentic relationships with Indonesian neighbors, develops practical problem-solving skills, and builds cultural understanding that transcends typical tourist experiences. Successful budget living requires honest assessment of personal flexibility, cultural adaptability, and lifestyle priorities. Those expecting Western conveniences, privacy expectations, and familiar food options will struggle to maintain $600 budgets while remaining satisfied with their experience. However, travelers willing to embrace Indonesian lifestyle patterns often discover that lower costs coincide with richer cultural engagement and more meaningful travel experiences than expensive tourist alternatives provide. The roar of motorcycle engines creates Bali's constant soundtrack, a mechanical symphony that begins before dawn and continues past midnight as millions of scooters navigate roads originally designed for bicycles and pedestrian traffic. Understanding Bali's transportation culture requires recognizing that motorcycle dominance isn't just economic necessity. It represents cultural adaptation to island geography, family economics, and social patterns that developed over decades of rapid modernization without corresponding infrastructure investment. Single motorcycles regularly carry entire families, with fathers driving, while mothers hold infants, and small children perch between parents or cling to rear seats. This family transportation method appears dangerous to Western observers, but it represents practical adaptation to economic realities, where car ownership remains financially impossible for most Indonesian families. A reliable used car costs 10 to 20 times more than a motorcycle while consuming significantly more fuel and requiring expensive maintenance that motorcycle repairs rarely demand. Traffic flow operates according to informal rules that prioritize movement over safety, with vehicles weaving continuously between lanes, ignoring traffic signals when possible, and creating impromptu passing opportunities that would terrify drivers accustomed to structured traffic systems. However, This apparent chaos contains internal logic based on mutual awareness, predictable behavior patterns, and collective commitment to maintaining traffic movement rather than individual safety or legal compliance. Motorcycle rental represents one of the most affordable transportation options for visitors, with daily rates starting around $5 and monthly rates often negotiable to under $50, including basic insurance coverage. However, rental arrangements frequently involve minimal paperwork, questionable insurance validity, and maintenance responsibilities that can create expensive complications if accidents or mechanical problems occur during rental periods. The absence of ride-sharing services like Uber or Grab in many areas of Bali creates transportation challenges for those unwilling or unable to operate motorcycles independently. Traditional taxi services charge premium rates designed for tourist budgets rather than local transportation needs, making them impractical for frequent use on limited budgets. This transportation gap forces many budget travelers to either learn motorcycle operation or limit their mobility significantly. Road conditions vary dramatically throughout the island, from smooth coastal highways to narrow village paths with massive potholes, steep grades, and minimal lighting that create hazardous driving conditions, especially during monsoon rains. Many roads lack proper drainage, creating dangerous flooding during afternoon downpours that can disable motorcycles and create traffic chaos lasting hours after storms pass. Monsoon weather transforms transportation from routine activity to daily adventure, with heavy rains creating visibility problems, slippery road surfaces, and mechanical challenges that affect all vehicle types. Many residents adjust their schedules around weather patterns, avoiding travel during peak rain periods and maintaining alternative plans when weather makes normal transportation impossible or dangerous. Fuel costs remain relatively affordable for motorcycle transportation, with gasoline prices subsidized by government programs designed to keep transportation accessible for Indonesian families. However, fuel quality varies significantly between locations, with remote areas sometimes lacking high-octane fuel necessary for optimal motorcycle performance and engine longevity. Parking challenges affect daily life planning throughout tourist areas, where limited space and high demand create informal parking systems managed by local entrepreneurs who charge small fees for motorcycle security and organization. Understanding these informal parking arrangements prevents theft problems while supporting local economic opportunities that operate outside formal business registration systems. Traffic accidents occur frequently due to poor road conditions, mixed vehicle types sharing inadequate road space, and cultural attitudes that prioritize speed over safety. Hospital emergency rooms treat motorcycle accident victims daily, with head injuries, broken bones, and road rash representing common consequences of normal transportation activities. Proper safety equipment remains uncommon, with helmet usage sporadic and protective clothing rare despite obvious accident risks. Insurance coverage for motorcycle transportation often provides minimal protection, with basic policies covering vehicle damage but excluding medical expenses, theft protection, or third-party liability that could create expensive legal and financial obligations following accidents. Understanding insurance limitations becomes crucial for budget planning and risk management. Alternative transportation methods exist, but require local knowledge and cultural comfort with Indonesian public transportation systems. Local BEMO minivans provide affordable intercity transportation along established routes, though schedules remain informal and routes might not serve tourist destinations efficiently. Learning BEMO systems requires Indonesian language skills and patience with indirect routing and multiple transfers. Bicycle transportation offers exercise benefits and environmental advantages while eliminating fuel costs and registration requirements, but Bali's hilly terrain, tropical heat, and aggressive traffic conditions make cycling challenging for all but the most athletic and experienced riders. Electric bicycles provide assistance for hill climbing while maintaining cost advantages, though battery management and charging infrastructure require planning. Walking remains impractical for most transportation needs due to lack of pedestrian infrastructure, tropical heat, and distances between destinations that exceed comfortable walking ranges. Sidewalks exist sporadically, forcing pedestrians to share road space with motorcycles and cars in conditions designed around vehicle traffic rather than foot travel. Long-distance transportation between cities relies primarily on tourist shuttle services, private drivers, or motorcycle rental for independent travel. Public bus systems provide very affordable intercity transportation, but require familiarity with Indonesian systems and comfort with basic amenities and indirect routing that might not suit tourist schedules or comfort expectations. The cultural aspects of transportation extend beyond practical considerations to social status, family obligations, and community relationships that influence vehicle choices and transportation patterns. Motorcycle ownership provides independence and economic opportunity, while representing significant financial investment for Indonesian families who might save for months to purchase reliable transportation. Understanding transportation realities helps determine realistic budget requirements and lifestyle expectations for different areas of Bali. Remote locations with limited transportation options might offer lower housing costs but create mobility restrictions that affect employment opportunities, social activities, and emergency access to healthcare or other services. Transportation decisions significantly impact overall living costs through direct expenses like fuel and maintenance, as well as indirect costs related to location choices, employment access, and lifestyle limitations that result from transportation constraints. Successful budget planning requires integrating transportation considerations with housing, employment, and social activity decisions that collectively determine quality of life and cultural engagement opportunities. Bali's natural beauty extends far beyond the beach club infinity pools and yoga retreat gardens that dominate social media feeds. Hidden waterfalls cascade through primary forest where ancient trees form cathedral canopies above natural swimming pools carved from volcanic rock. Sekumpul Waterfall, considered among Indonesia's most spectacular, requires a challenging hike through traditional villages and tropical jungle, where local guides share knowledge about medicinal plants, bird identification, and forest conservation efforts that operate independently of government environmental programs. Rice terraces create some of the world's most stunning agricultural landscapes, with emerald green paddies cascading down mountainsides in geometric patterns that have remained essentially unchanged for over 1,000 years. The Jatilui Terraces, recognized as UNESCO World Heritage Sites, demonstrate sophisticated irrigation engineering that manages water resources cooperatively across multiple villages while creating habitat for countless bird species and maintaining soil fertility through traditional organic farming methods. However, these postcard-perfect landscapes face serious environmental challenges that affect both natural beauty and human health. Plastic waste accumulates in rice paddies, rivers, and coastal areas at rates that overwhelm local waste management systems. Morning beach walks often reveal overnight deposits of plastic bottles, food packaging, and disposable items that ocean currents carry from throughout the Indonesian archipelago and neighboring countries. The Citarum River, which flows through populated areas before reaching Balinese waters, has gained international attention as one of the world's most polluted waterways, carrying industrial waste, agricultural chemicals, and human sewage that affects marine ecosystems and coastal water quality. This pollution impacts fishing communities, tourist beach quality, and public health in ways that government cleanup efforts have struggled to address effectively. Mount Batur offers accessible volcano hiking experiences where pre-dawn climbs reward visitors with sunrise views over volcanic crater lakes and surrounding mountainous landscapes. The active volcano provides geological education about tectonic forces that continue shaping Indonesian geography while creating the fertile soils that support Bali's agricultural productivity. Local guides from Batur village provide insights about volcanic activity monitoring, traditional beliefs about mountain spirits, and practical safety considerations for volcano proximity. Coral reef ecosystems around Bali support incredible marine biodiversity while facing pressure from tourism activities, climate change, and pollution that threatens long-term ecosystem health. Snorkeling and diving reveal underwater worlds where tropical fish species create living rainbows around coral formations. But bleaching events and physical damage from boat anchors and inexperienced divers compromise reef resilience and recovery capacity. Sacred monkey forests provide encounters with long-tailed macaques in their natural habitat, while demonstrating how Balinese culture integrates wildlife conservation with religious practice. The Sangay Monkey Forest Sanctuary protects nutmeg trees and temple complexes where hundreds of monkeys live under traditional protection systems that predate modern conservation programs. However, human-wildlife conflict increases as development pressures reduce natural habitat and tourist feeding creates behavioral problems. Traditional organic farming methods used in rice cultivation provide models for sustainable agriculture that maintains soil health, supports biodiversity, and produces nutritious food without chemical inputs. Subak irrigation cooperatives manage water distribution while coordinating planting schedules that optimize pest control and harvest timing across multiple farms. These traditional systems demonstrate how agricultural productivity can coexist with environmental protection through community cooperation and ecological knowledge. Forest conservation efforts face challenges from development pressure, illegal logging, and agricultural expansion that fragments wildlife habitat while reducing watershed protection for communities dependent on river systems. Community-based conservation programs engage local villages in protecting remaining forest areas through sustainable livelihood programs that provide economic alternatives to forest exploitation. Beach conservation initiatives address erosion, pollution, and overdevelopment issues that threaten coastal ecosystems and tourism industry sustainability. Some communities organize regular beach cleanup activities and plastic waste reduction programs, though these efforts require broader systemic changes in waste management infrastructure and consumer behavior patterns. Water quality varies significantly throughout Bali, with mountain spring sources providing clean drinking water, while coastal and urban areas face contamination from agricultural runoff, sewage discharge, and industrial activities. Understanding local water sources becomes important for health protection and environmental awareness, as bottled water consumption creates additional plastic waste, while local water treatment might provide safer and more sustainable alternatives. Traditional building materials and construction methods often provide more environmentally sustainable alternatives to modern concrete construction using bamboo, coconut palm wood, and local stone that require less energy for production and transportation while creating better climate adaptation through natural ventilation and insulation properties. Sustainable tourism practices remain challenging to implement when economic pressures encourage rapid development and visitor numbers that exceed carrying capacity for fragile ecosystems. Some ecotourism initiatives provide alternative models that support local communities while protecting natural resources, though these approaches require visitor education and commitment to environmental responsibility. Climate change effects become visible through changing rainfall patterns, increased storm intensity, and rising sea levels that affect coastal communities and agricultural productivity. Traditional ecological knowledge held by farming and fishing communities provides insights about environmental changes and adaptation strategies that complement scientific climate monitoring efforts. Wildlife protection faces ongoing challenges from habitat loss, illegal trade, and human-wildlife conflict that threaten endemic species unique to Indonesian ecosystems. Conservation education programs engage local communities in protecting native species while providing economic opportunities through ecotourism and sustainable resource management. Air quality issues affect urban areas where motorcycle emissions, industrial activities, and burning agricultural waste create pollution levels that impact respiratory health and visibility. Traditional transportation methods and renewable energy adoption could address some air quality problems while reducing dependence on fossil fuel imports. The integration of environmental awareness with daily lifestyle choices provides opportunities for visitors and residents to minimize ecological impact while supporting conservation efforts through conscious consumption, waste reduction, and support for environmentally responsible businesses and community programs. Understanding environmental challenges helps visitors make informed decisions about activity choices, accommodation selection, and consumption patterns that affect both personal health and local ecosystem protection. Sustainable travel practices often coincide with lower costs and more authentic cultural experiences that benefit both environmental conservation and community economic development. Safety in Bali requires understanding both genuine risks and overblown fears that might prevent reasonable precautions while allowing for authentic cultural experiences and practical daily living. Petty theft represents the most common safety concern, particularly motorcycle theft, pickpocketing in crowded areas, and opportunistic burglary targeting unlocked accommodations or unattended belongings. However, violent crime against foreigners remains relatively rare, and simple precautions effectively minimize most theft risks. Motorcycle accidents pose the most serious safety threat for both residents and visitors, with poor road conditions, chaotic traffic patterns, and inadequate safety equipment contributing to daily injuries that fill hospital emergency rooms. Head injuries from motorcycle accidents represent leading causes of serious injury among foreigners, making proper helmet usage and defensive driving crucial for anyone choosing motorcycle transportation. Healthcare quality varies dramatically between expensive international hospitals serving expatriates and tourists versus local clinics and government hospitals that provide basic services at affordable prices. Understanding healthcare options becomes crucial for making informed decisions about medical insurance coverage, treatment location choices, and emergency response planning that balances cost considerations with quality care requirements. Medical insurance coverage requires careful evaluation of policy limitations, hospital networks, and evacuation benefits that might become necessary for serious injuries or medical conditions requiring treatment unavailable locally. Many budget travelers underestimate healthcare costs and discover that serious medical problems can quickly exhaust financial resources while creating complex insurance claim processes. Natural disaster risks include earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and severe flooding during monsoon seasons that can disrupt transportation, communication, and emergency services while creating dangerous conditions for residents and visitors. Understanding local emergency procedures and maintaining emergency supplies provides preparation for natural disasters that occur regularly throughout Indonesia. Scam prevention requires awareness of common fraud techniques targeting tourists, including fake police checkpoint shakedowns, gemstone investment schemes, and transportation scams that create expensive problems or safety risks. Learning to recognize and avoid common scams protects both financial resources and personal safety while reducing stress during travel experiences. Water safety extends beyond drinking water quality to include swimming and water sports risks from strong currents, coral cuts, and marine life encounters that can create serious injuries requiring immediate medical attention. Understanding local water conditions and safety practices prevents accidents while allowing enjoyable water activities. Food safety requires understanding local food handling practices, ingredient freshness indicators, and preparation methods that minimize risk of foodborne illness while allowing authentic local dining experiences. Gradual adaptation to local bacterial environments helps prevent digestive problems while building tolerance for authentic Indonesian cuisine. Personal security practices include maintaining awareness of surroundings, avoiding isolated areas during late hours, and understanding local customs that prevent misunderstandings or unwanted attention. Cultural sensitivity often provides better personal protection than defensive behaviors that might create confrontational situations. Emergency communication planning ensures ability to contact local authorities, medical services, or international assistance when needed, including understanding local emergency numbers, language considerations, and communication methods that function during infrastructure disruptions. Property security varies significantly between accommodation types and locations, requiring understanding of local security practices, neighborhood conditions, and protection measures that prevent theft while maintaining reasonable convenience and cost control. Legal system understanding helps avoid violations of Indonesian law that might result in fines, deportation, or imprisonment, including drug possession penalties, visa regulations, and cultural sensitivity requirements that carry legal consequences beyond social disapproval. Weather-related safety includes understanding monsoon flooding risks, lightning storm precautions, and heat exhaustion prevention during tropical climate exposure that can create serious health risks for those unaccustomed to equatorial conditions. Animal safety considerations include avoiding aggressive monkeys, understanding rabies risks from dogs and other mammals, and recognizing venomous snakes or marine creatures that could create medical emergencies requiring immediate professional treatment. Women's safety involves understanding cultural expectations around dress, behavior, and social interaction that prevent unwanted attention while allowing comfortable daily activities and social engagement within Indonesian cultural contexts. Alcohol and drug safety requires awareness that Indonesian law enforcement takes drug possession very seriously, with penalties including lengthy imprisonment or execution for drug trafficking offenses, making substance use extremely risky regardless of personal opinions about drug policy fairness. Financial security includes protecting against theft, understanding local banking systems, and maintaining access to emergency funds through multiple sources that remain available during travel disruptions or unexpected expenses. Building safety awareness requires understanding construction standards, fire safety practices, and earthquake preparedness that protect against structural collapse or fire emergencies in buildings that might not meet international safety codes. Traffic safety extends beyond motorcycle operation to pedestrian awareness, understanding local driving patterns, and recognizing dangerous road conditions that require extra caution or alternative transportation choices. Insurance understanding includes knowing policy coverage limits, claim procedures, and exclusions that might leave gaps in protection during emergencies, as well as maintaining adequate coverage for activities planned during residence or travel. Education systems in Bali reveal stark contrasts between international schools serving expatriate families and local institutions that educate Indonesian children within limited budgets and cultural contexts that prioritize different educational values. International schools charge thousands of dollars annually for Western-style education with e-English instruction, international curricula, and facilities comparable to private schools in developed countries. These institutions provide pathways to international universities while maintaining familiar educational approaches that expatriate parents prefer. Local government schools operate with minimal budgets, large class sizes, and teaching methods that emphasize memorization and respect for authority rather than critical thinking or creative expression valued in Western educational systems. However, these schools effectively transmit Indonesian cultural values, language skills, and social integration that international schools often cannot provide, despite their superior facilities and international recognition. Village schools often lack basic resources like computers, science laboratories, or extensive libraries, but they maintain strong connections to community life and traditional knowledge that enriches student understanding of local culture, environmental awareness, and practical life skills. Children learn traditional arts, agricultural practices, and religious knowledge alongside government curriculum requirements, creating well-rounded education that connects academic learning with cultural identity. Higher education opportunities exist through Indonesian universities that offer degree programs at costs significantly lower than international alternatives, though instruction primarily occurs in Bahasa Indonesia, and academic standards might differ from Western university expectations. Some Indonesian universities maintain international partnerships and English-language programs that provide pathways to global career opportunities while maintaining affordable tuition costs. Adult education and skill development programs operate through community organizations, religious institutions, and government initiatives that provide literacy training, vocational skills, and small business development support for adults who missed formal education opportunities. These programs often incorporate traditional crafts, modern technology training, and entrepreneurship education that addresses local economic needs. Language learning opportunities exist through formal classes, community programs, and informal cultural exchange that helps foreigners develop Bahasa Indonesia skills while providing English practice for Indonesian students and professionals. Understanding local language opens access to deeper cultural engagement and economic opportunities that remain unavailable to those dependent on English communication. Traditional arts education operates through family lineages, temple programs, and community organizations that teach gamelan music, traditional dance, wood carving, and other cultural arts that maintain Balinese heritage while providing potential income sources for skilled practitioners. These educational systems preserve cultural knowledge while adapting to modern economic opportunities. Literacy rates in rural areas lag behind urban centers, creating educational disparities that affect economic opportunities and social mobility for children from village families. However, cultural knowledge and practical skills transmitted through traditional education systems often provide valuable capabilities that formal academic education might not address. Educational costs for Indonesian families represent significant financial commitments, with school fees, uniforms, books, and transportation consuming substantial portions of household budgets even for government schools that officially provide free education. Understanding these financial pressures helps explain family educational priorities and resource allocation decisions. Special needs education remains limited throughout Indonesia, with few specialized programs or trained teachers available for children with learning disabilities, physical handicaps, or developmental challenges. Families often struggle to find appropriate educational support while managing additional costs associated with special needs care. Educational quality varies dramatically between regions, school districts, and individual institutions, making school selection crucial for families who prioritize educational outcomes while managing financial constraints and transportation logistics that affect daily family routines. Gender equality in education has improved significantly over recent decades, with girls now achieving educational participation rates equal to or exceeding boys in most areas. However, cultural expectations about gender roles still influence educational choices and career planning that affect long-term economic opportunities for young women. Technical and vocational education provides practical skills training for careers in tourism, agriculture, construction, and other industries that offer employment opportunities for graduates who choose alternatives to university education. These programs often provide direct pathways to employment while maintaining lower costs than university degrees. Educational technology remains limited in rural schools despite government initiatives to improve internet access and computer availability. Many students lack experience with digital tools that become increasingly important for modern employment and continuing education opportunities. Private tutoring and supplemental education create additional educational expenses for families seeking to improve their children's academic performance and university admission prospects. This shadow education system often determines educational success more than formal school quality, creating additional financial pressures for middle-class families. International education exchanges and study abroad opportunities provide cultural learning and language development that prepare young Indonesians for global career opportunities while creating financial challenges for families managing international education costs. Educational infrastructure challenges include inadequate school buildings, limited transportation access, and teacher shortages that affect educational quality, particularly in remote areas where families might relocate to access better educational opportunities for their children. Continuing education and professional development opportunities exist through government programs, international organizations, and private institutions that help adults develop new skills and advance their careers while managing work and family responsibilities that limit time available for educational pursuits. Educational policy debates involve balancing traditional cultural education with modern skill development, religious instruction with secular knowledge, and local language preservation with English proficiency requirements that prepare students for globalized economic opportunities while maintaining Indonesian cultural identity. Understanding educational systems helps families make informed decisions about residence location, school selection, and educational investment that balance cost considerations with educational quality goals while considering cultural values and long-term career planning for children and adult family members. Visa regulations and immigration procedures create complex administrative requirements for foreigners seeking to live long-term in Indonesia, with multiple visa categories designed for different purposes and length of stay that require careful planning and ongoing compliance to avoid expensive penalties or deportation procedures. Understanding these regulations becomes crucial for anyone considering extended residence beyond typical tourist timeframes. Tourist visas provide 30-day stays with possible extension to 60 days total, but require departure from Indonesia before applying for subsequent tourist visas, creating expensive visa-run requirements to neighboring countries like Singapore or Malaysia. These periodic departures interrupt resident stability while creating ongoing travel expenses that must be factored into long-term budget planning. Social and cultural visas offer longer-term residence options for those willing to engage in approved cultural, educational, or social activities through Indonesian sponsoring organizations. Though these visas require genuine participation in approved programs rather than nominal enrollment designed to circumvent tourist visa limitations. Investment visas and retirement visas provide pathways to longer-term residence for those meeting financial requirements and age criteria, though minimum investment amounts and ongoing financial commitments exceed most budget traveler resources while requiring complex legal procedures and ongoing compliance monitoring. Digital nomad policies remain unclear and enforcement varies throughout Indonesia, with many remote workers operating on tourist visas while conducting international business activities that might technically violate visa conditions. Understanding these legal gray areas helps minimize risks while maintaining realistic expectations about long-term residence possibilities. Overstay penalties increase dramatically with duration, creating expensive problems that can affect future visa applications and travel opportunities throughout Southeast Asia. Maintaining legal visa status requires careful planning and sometimes expensive compliance measures that consume significant budget resources. Working permits require Indonesian employer sponsorship and limit employment to specific industries and job categories approved for foreign workers, making legal employment challenging for most foreigners while creating opportunities for those with specialized skills and proper sponsorship arrangements. Marriage to Indonesian citizens provides pathways to permanent residence and work authorization, though cross-cultural marriages require careful legal planning and cultural integration that extends far beyond visa considerations to include family relationships and cultural adaptation challenges. Banking and financial services access varies based on visa status and residence documentation, with tourist visa holders facing limitations on account opening, loan qualification, and investment opportunities that affect long-term financial planning and business development possibilities. Property ownership restrictions limit foreign property investment to specific categories and require complex legal structures that might not provide security expected by those accustomed to straightforward property ownership rights in other countries. Tax obligations for foreign residents depend on length of stay, income sources, and visa status in ways that require professional consultation to ensure compliance while minimizing tax liability through legal tax planning strategies available to qualified foreign residents. Legal representation becomes important for complex immigration matters, property transactions, and business registration that require understanding of Indonesian legal procedures and language capabilities that most foreigners lack without professional assistance. Cultural integration expectations accompany long-term residence visas and require genuine engagement with Indonesian language, culture, and community life that extends beyond superficial tourist cultural appreciation to include meaningful participation in Indonesian society. Documentation requirements for visa applications and extensions often require certificates, financial statements, and background checks from home countries that must be properly authenticated and translated, creating administrative complexity and expense that requires advanced planning. Immigration enforcement varies throughout Indonesia, with some areas maintaining strict monitoring while others rarely check visa status, though depending on informal enforcement creates legal risks that could result in serious consequences during periodic crackdowns or policy changes. Health insurance requirements for certain visa categories mandate coverage that meets Indonesian standards while potentially requiring international coverage for medical evacuation or treatment outside Indonesia, creating insurance planning complexity and ongoing expense. Language requirements for some visa categories and residence applications require Indonesian language proficiency that might take years to develop, while creating educational expenses and time commitments that affect other aspects of integration planning. Extension procedures require advanced planning and proper documentation while creating periods of legal uncertainty when applications remain pending, during which travel outside Indonesia might affect application status or create re-entry complications. Recent policy changes affect visa availability and requirements in ways that create uncertainty for long-term planning while requiring ongoing monitoring of immigration policy developments that could affect resident status or application procedures. Understanding Indonesian immigration law, complexity often requires professional consultation and ongoing compliance monitoring that creates additional expenses while providing legal security and peace of mind for those committed to long-term residence within Indonesian legal requirements. The paradox of modern Bali becomes clear when you witness Kadek completing her morning offering ritual in the family temple, while her teenage daughter live streams traditional dance practice to followers in Jakarta and Los Angeles. Two worlds exist simultaneously on this small island, one rooted in ancient Hindu traditions where spiritual obligations still govern daily routines, and another connected to global digital culture where Instagram influence and international trends shape aspirations and economic opportunities. This cultural duality creates both opportunities and tensions that affect every aspect of life in Bali. Village elders worry that traditional knowledge will disappear as young people pursue careers in tourism or digital marketing, rather than learning rice farming techniques and religious ceremonies passed down through generations. Yet, these same modern opportunities provide economic alternatives that allow young Balinese to remain on the island rather than migrating to Jakarta or overseas for employment. The economic transformation has been dramatic. 20 years ago, most Balinese families survived through agriculture, traditional crafts, or small local businesses serving Indonesian customers. Today, tourism generates billions of dollars annually while creating wealth disparities that separate Indonesian communities from international expatriate enclaves. Some Balinese families have become wealthy through land sales and tourism businesses, while others struggle with rising costs of living, driven by international demand for housing and services. Environmental pressures reveal the most troubling aspects of this transformation. The same natural beauty that attracts millions of visitors, pristine beaches, lush rice terraces, sacred forests, faces degradation from development pressure, pollution, and resource overconsumption that threatens long-term sustainability. Traditional environmental management systems that maintained ecological balance for centuries struggled to address problems created by modern consumption patterns and population density. Cultural preservation efforts attempt to maintain authentic Balinese identity while adapting to economic realities that require engagement with global markets and international visitors. Some villages have successfully integrated tourism income with cultural authenticity, creating cultural tourism programs that provide economic opportunities while maintaining traditional practices. Others have seen cultural heritage reduced to commercial performance for tourist entertainment, losing spiritual meaning and community significance. The housing crisis reflects broader tensions between local needs and international demand. Traditional family compounds face pressure to convert into tourist accommodation, or sell to foreign developers who pay prices that local families cannot compete with for housing purchases. This gentrification displaces Indonesian families while creating resentment toward foreign residents who might unknowingly contribute to community displacement. Education represents another area where traditional and modern worlds intersect uncomfortably. Parents want their children to succeed in modern economy while maintaining cultural identity and family connections. International schools provide global opportunities but cost more than most Indonesian families can afford, while potentially disconnecting children from local culture and community relationships. Water resources illustrate environmental challenges that affect both spiritual practice and daily survival. Sacred springs that supply holy water for temple ceremonies also provide drinking water for local communities. But development and pollution threaten both religious practices and public health. Traditional water management systems designed for agricultural communities must adapt to serve tourism infrastructure and expatriate housing developments. The future of Bali depends on finding sustainable balance between economic development and cultural preservation, between international engagement and local community needs, between modern opportunities and traditional wisdom. Some initiatives demonstrate promising approaches: eco-tourism programs that employ local guides while protecting natural resources, traditional craft cooperatives that maintain cultural skills while accessing international markets, and sustainable agriculture projects that combine traditional knowledge with modern organic farming techniques. Understanding authentic Bali requires recognizing both sides of this cultural coin, appreciating ancient traditions while acknowledging modern realities, supporting local communities while respecting cultural boundaries, and engaging with Indonesian culture while maintaining realistic expectations about cultural exchange possibilities. The most meaningful experiences often come from patient relationship building rather than quick cultural consumption, from learning Indonesian language and customs rather than expecting everyone to accommodate foreign preferences. For those considering long-term residence, success depends on cultural humility, genuine respect for Indonesian traditions, and willingness to contribute positively to local communities rather than simply extracting cultural experiences or economic advantages. The island offers incredible opportunities for those who approach with appropriate respect and realistic expectations, but it also holds profound disappointments for those who expect exotic paradise without cultural complexity. The real Bali exists in morning temple ceremonies where tourists aren't welcome, in family conversations conducted in Balinese language, in economic struggles that international wealth can distort but cannot eliminate, and in cultural adaptations that balance tradition with survival in an interconnected world. Accessing this reality requires patience, cultural sensitivity, and genuine commitment to understanding Indonesia rather than projecting foreign expectations onto complex local realities. Whether you choose to visit briefly or attempt long-term residence, Bali rewards those who look beyond Instagram images to engage with cultural complexity, environmental challenges, and social realities that define life on this extraordinary island. The choice between superficial tourism and meaningful engagement remains available to every visitor, but only those who choose deeper understanding will access the authentic cultural treasures that make Bali truly remarkable beyond its postcard beauty. Comment below if you're ready to experience the real Bali beyond the resort walls, where ancient wisdom meets modern challenges, where authentic culture rewards those patient enough to earn local trust, and where $600 budgets can provide rich cultural experiences for those willing to live like locals rather than permanent tourists.